Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be speaking on coping with sickle cell disorder. And I won't spend so much time. I'm sure that we have a few people around here who have friends that have sickle cell anemia, or who themselves have that illness. Yeah, I'm saying that who defines what you feel. Sometimes some people can be very insensitive and say that they blame you for what is happening to you. That you don't take care of yourself, you are careless with your health, and so on and so forth. Some people say that maybe your parents have offended God and that's why you are always ill. But certainly that is, nobody will choose to be a sickle cell patient. So they are all wrong. You are the one that is right. Now, who or what defines you? As a sickle cell patient, you should not let what defines you be limited to that illness. There are so many things about you. That is why I use this illustration, this feather illustration. This is a feather. These are feathers, but they have come in different colors. So those colors show that there are so many things about you. Apart from that, when you are healthy, you know all those things. And so those are the things that you should focus on as a sickle cell patient. There are things that people compliment you for. Maybe your talents, some gifts, even your character. Those are the things that you should make to define you. So let that illness not be what defines you within your mind. So if you do that, if you adopt that kind of thinking, you will never have a psychological problem. How should you feel? You should always feel happy and loved, especially when you are not ill. There is no way you can be happy when you are ill. When you are in crisis, you can never be happy. But when you are okay, you be hopeful that it will not come, you will not wake up the following morning, or it will not come in the middle of the next night. So you should always feel happy. And you should also know your strengths and weaknesses. When the first speaker was speaking about career choice, I remember that when I wanted to join SS1, I happened to be a classmate or a schoolmate with Mr. Olaniyan from St. Barnabas. We went to University of Secondary School together, and I joined them in SS1. So the first place they took me to was the counselor's office. And because some people, as I was growing up, some people will say, "Oh, Mubarak, you are very brilliant. You should be a doctor. You should be a scientist. You should be this, you should be that." But I know myself. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. I knew that I was not very good in mathematics. And once you are not good in mathematics, you cannot go into the sciences. And once you often miss class because of illness, you cannot follow up on what others have learned in mathematics, except you are gifted. So I decided that, well, they are praising me that I'm brilliant, but I know I cannot go into sciences, so I decided not. So use that your strength to determine what you want to do, to be able to project, and you should have confidence in yourself. You need to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you will never have confidence. And loving yourself entails a lot of things. Now, if you have sickle cell anemia here, if you happen to have it, you should be taking water regularly, as they have said. And anytime you need to rehydrate, I think you should indicate that you need some liquid to take. It may not be water, it may be soft drink. All right, yes, sir.
When the last week I was presenting, somebody asked that this thing is treated, is it permanent or temporary?
Thank you. The question is it permanent? Somebody asked whether it's permanent or not. Well, speaking in terms of technology, I know that he talked about bone marrow transplant. And I saw a news report sometime this year about a 9-year-old boy who was taken to Italy. And his genotype was reversed from SS to AA because of bone marrow transplant. However, it's very expensive. And also, there's a certain age limit to, before that operation can be done on you. I think if you're above 35 or above 34, you can no longer work for it. But once you are still less than maybe 35, or maybe when you're in your 20s or as a teenager, at the moment, I don't think it's too late for anybody. Once you can afford it, about so millions of naira. Yes. One of the problems, we have people who can do it. Look at where we are today. Somebody is sponsoring this event with a little, I know her very well. The organizer is my colleague in the office. I know what the range of what she earns. She's not a millionaire. Yes, she's bringing all of us together. We have so many millionaires who are our uncles, our aunties, and so on. We can connect to them and talk to them that, please, I would like to get my genotype changed. Daddy, please speak with Uncle Dangote. I'll call Uncle $10 so that I can get it. Dangote donated 50 billion naira to Northeast last week. So if you, pardon? Yes. No, I wanted to say $10. Not Dangote. It was $10, not Dangote. 50 billion naira. $10 donated it to the Northeast for Boko Haram victims. So that is a permanent solution. That's the permanent solution. And also, it is more difficult when you are younger. As you grow older, the pains and the frequency and the intensity tends to reduce. However, I don't know, I still feel it. Throughout October, I was ill, last October. But it's not as frequent or as painful as it used to be when I was in secondary school or university. Now, one of those other things about it is that once you know your strength and you love yourself, once you love yourself, you should always be happy. Now, once you know your strength, those things that you should not be doing, you should not do them. As a young person, I know I loved football a lot. I loved playing football. And I believe I was good at it. And initially, you have a sense of denial when they tell you that if you play football, you are going to fall ill. I will try, let me try it if I fall ill. And actually, I experimented a number of times and saw that yes, it is true. Once I play football or I get myself in a situation where I have to sweat a number of times, then I tend to fall ill overnight. Then one other thing is, for me, there is also the effect of taking very cold water. If I take ice water, it is immediately I fall in. Immediately, within a minute, I'll find myself in the hospital. So all these things actually matter. Don't take cold water and don't expose yourself to heat. So extreme weathers are very bad. I don't know whether you know about what they call the climate change. Climate change is also something that is affecting, that is likely to affect people who have the sickle cell disorder. Because one of the major causes in our environment is malaria. And if you have malaria, you could have a crisis. You are likely to have a crisis if you don't treat it immediately. So when there is global warming, we have more volume of water all around. You see flood here and there. If you pass by Unity some time ago, a few weeks ago, you will see a lot of water. That means a lot of more mosquitoes around. And it's a danger to someone who has the illness. So the same thing with heat. Desertification means more heat. So people who have that illness, who are living in hot areas, maybe northern Nigeria or from Ilorin upwards, they're also prone to more illnesses. Now, as young people, if one of the speakers, the first speaker talked about having a smartphone or having a phone at all. If you have access to the internet, you will see young people like you who also decide that they want to make certain change. So you can also start maybe some kind of campaign. And people tend to listen to young people more than they listen to old people. Do you understand? You can start a hashtag, tackle desertification or tackle climate change. For example, the United States refused to sign what they call the Paris Agreement, which is aimed at stopping climate change. The most powerful country in the world, which contributes a lot to this climate change, refused to sign it, and that is the United States. And a 16-year-old, young people had a conference, and a 16-year-old spoke, challenging President Trump, Donald Trump, and the United States on the damage they are going to do, because this climate change will not affect their own generation so much. It will affect their own generation more than it will affect the generation of the Trumps who are 70 and above. But your own generation will be the ones to suffer the consequences. And so, that young lady, the 16-year-old, spoke there at the United Nations and complained about the destruction of the earth, that it is the responsibility of the older generation to bequeath a viable environment to you young people. So, loving yourself involves being able to also speak for yourself. For example, in your school, there's nothing to be ashamed of, because God is proud of you. He is the one that created you and made you choose that for you. And so he's proud of you, so why shouldn't you be proud of yourself? And so if you have any challenge in school, maybe they ask everybody to go and pick pieces of paper, or they should go and cut grasses. You can talk to your class teacher. I can never forget Mr. Akitobi. I always appreciate that man, because he used to encourage me a lot and spare me from all the rigors and stress of secondary school. Second, university, you still have more choices to make. But when you're in secondary school, your life is controlled by the system, and it should be controlled. But you should also be able to speak for yourself. And your friends who have sickle cell disease, speak for them. That's maybe Bola or Esther, there's an Esther there, or anyone. Please, she has a condition that will not allow her to do this and that, and she cannot come up to you to tell you. So I think I should tell you on her behalf. So those are ways in which people can cope. Also, in the course of life, one may experience a few frustrations. I told you I joined in secondary school in SS1. I went to 3 primary schools and 3 secondary schools. The reason why I went to 3 primary schools is because I always go to the nearest school to our home. And then my parents did not have a car. They did not have a car then. So it has to be the nearest school that we attend, not necessarily the best school, but the nearest school. I actually joined GSS for the first time in GSS 2 from Agboba. We were living in Agboba then. So moving from Agboba to permanent site was very, very difficult. I always come late, and they always beat me for coming late. And so I left the school after one term. So when we moved to quarters some years later, university quarters, which was closer, and when I had more confidence to speak for myself then, I now joined the school for a second time. So once you know your condition, you should be able to speak for yourself. Even up till date, when I'm traveling, I may tell the next person to me that, well, maybe if we have to push car and I don't join you in pushing it, it's because of this. I'll tell them ahead. And so I will have someone who I've confided in, and that person, whenever there is any situation, that person will come to my rescue. That person will be my advocate. among others. So you should also have that belief that one day your aims will be achieved. Your aims will be achieved. It may take time. For example, my younger brother, okay, he spent 6 years. He did a 6-year course in school, in university. I did a 4-year course. And at the end of the day, we graduated together at the same time. So some of those delays may want to affect one psychologically. But you should take consolation in yourself that God has the best plan for you, and He's the one that has actually planned that for you. Eventually, your life will play out fine. Eventually. What I think matters most is preventing that illness, preventing crisis, preventing that pain that the doctor talked about. You also need to, apart from telling the next person to you, you also need to have people around you. For example, Dr. Yola, when we were living in quarters, he was living in quarters as well. Sometimes you'll be ill, 2 a.m. My people will rush to his house. Please come and give this young man an injection. He's very ill. And some hospitals will not attend to you. Sometimes it is nurses that you have around. It's always good to have those analgesics, those pain relievers at home. So they will usually come to apply it. I can count about 10 or 9 people who have helped me grow. Nurses and doctors. I also have younger ones who study. Some deliberately went to study medicine because they think they want to take care of me. But in all of them, some of them, nobody is in line at the moment. So, but I have some other people, friends, and so on and so forth, who can help in case of emergency. So you need different friends. You need to socialize, to have friends across. Some of them will be people to encourage you. Some of them will be people to, give you aid. Somehow even going to warn you and, talk sternly at you that you are putting yourself in danger. So you need all those people around you. Are you listening?
Yes.
So you need to associate to be friendly. When I was in university, I was in a particular department. I was ill, I couldn't continue. I joined another department. When I joined the second department, I also felt ill at a point. So I missed all my exams. And when I missed all my exams, I couldn't go to the next class. So I had to join another class. In university in those days, when you want to do your registration, it's not online. You have to go and queue. And some people just came naturally to me that, please, we'd like to go and queue on your behalf without speaking to them. And some of them are still my friends today. So you need people around. What can debar you from getting help is if you lack the confidence to speak to them, or if they don't know. And some people, they want to hear from you, to seek help. Because some people, if you help them without them asking, they will feel insulted. That was your problem. You think I cannot. But in this situation, you should speak out. There is nothing wrong with you except the way God has chosen to create you. So once you have that at the back of your mind, I don't think you are going to have any problem. And for people who do not have sickle cell disorder, maybe you have one cousin or one friend or one neighbor who has it, you should always be willing to help. Thank you very much. So if you have any questions, we can go ahead with the questions. Any question? All right. Please stand up. All right. Do they tend to more than their lifespan? I don't understand.
What is the average lifespan, life expectancy? That's what.
Well, Nigeria as a whole, they said the lifespan is about 51 or so, sometimes 55. And as a sickle cell patient, I don't think you should worry yourself about your lifespan, really. just live each day as it comes. But this year, I clocked 40 years of age. And I had a cousin who died at 30. He was an AA. So you shouldn't bother yourself about that. What you should bother yourself about is enjoying each day, living each day to the fullest. You will see people who are born the following day, they are dead. After a week, they are gone. So bothering yourself about the lifespan, I think, is an additional emotional problem. Do you understand? So you should not really bother yourself. You should not really bother yourself with that. Let me see. Maybe I missed a few things. So, any other question? Yes, okay. Let's go back. Okay, did you feel it should loving yourself entails obeying the demands of your nature? I think I've talked about that. And heeding medical advice, such as taking water and so on and so forth. Avoiding stress. Then strength, self-confidence is very important. Never forget about the health situation, but never let it be the main preoccupation in your mind. Also, identify specific triggers of crisis in you. There are some people, each of them about different kinds of sickle cell. And for some people, some specific things trigger it. For example, if I take oily food at night, my system will have a problem and it may lead to crisis. Any small thing can lead to crisis, whether it's injury, whether it's constipation, whether it's cough, anything can lead to a crisis. So, but some things that may be unique to you. For me, taking oily food late in the night can lead to it. Then stay away from extreme weather, cold and heat. Avoid physical, emotional, and mental stress. Now, mental stress could include academic stress. I also remember that I love reading. I've been reading since I was very young. But, my mom discovered that reading a lot, especially towards the exam, tend to make me fall ill. So, one day, I didn't believe it. I never used to believe almost anything, that this is what is causing it. But there was one particular exam, a GNS exam, I was about to have. I started reading it. When I started studying it, I discovered that I felt ill. Then I took notes of that and tried to follow up again. So one way to tackle it, as a student you must read. As a person you must read. They say readers are leaders. You must always read. So one way to go around it is by you reading for pleasure. Don't wait until it's exam time before you start reading. They teach you something today in class, try to read it. And if you read for pleasure, it will not limit your reading to your notes in class. It will include maybe going online to Google. You will not feel as if you're under academic stress. Oh, this is just browsing. You type the topic on Google and you read it up. I remember when I was young, I used to challenge some of those doctors. I tell them a lot about what is wrong with me, and they wonder, why you want to be a doctor? I don't want to be a doctor. I'm only interested in this thing because everybody talk about it when I'm around. Okay, you need to get the latest information, such as we have done today. Latest information means what's the latest technology? That woman transfer is still the latest. Also in Nigeria, there is a pharmaceutical company in Abuja established by the federal government. They have one drug that manages it quite well. You have less frequent crises. You take that drug called Lipisa, but it's only available there in Abuja. So I send someone there to get it for you. So therefore, you need to network. Maybe if you need it, you can get my contract through the organizer and so on. I can tell you how to get it. So networking and getting the latest information will be able to help you. And I also say you may start your own campaign as a young person who has access to the internet, who can create an hashtag. You can start, because it seems the world is actually not aware. About 300,000 babies are still born in this age with sickle cell, with hemoglobin. I think it's too bad for the world that in this age of information and communication technology, we see how people who are still giving back to, all right. So avoid physical stress and harmful. These two people, the two you couple you are seeing there, they are supposed to be crawling and doing a lot of stress. But when you see them like this, you not know that they are sickle cell patients, the two of them. You not know that they are stressed. They are actually having fun rather than stressing themselves. They are not stressing themselves. You need friends and family with different strengths. Friends and family with different strengths. So one will give you information, one will give you advice, another will counsel you, and so on and so forth. Another will treat you. Can you see this picture? What's happening in that picture? Can you see it? This picture of two people who are in a boat.
Yeah.
Who can tell me what you can see? They are in a boat, they are in a canoe, and all around them is water. Now, as a sickle cell patient, you cannot swim. First, it's energy consuming. Secondly, it is also dangerous for you. So, it can also cause cold. You can have crisis because of cold. So, or you can take a boat ride if you can't swim. So, don't despair. There's always an alternative way of catching your own fun. So that's what this picture is about. Then think about all I have said. And finally, the queue may be long, but eventually you are going to stand out. Thank you very much.